A lot of traders will see my trading station and then they'll ask in the comments, they'll say, Ross, I'm thinking about getting started trading. Do I need to get a special computer? What are the specs of that computer? How much is it going to cost? How many monitors do I need? And how do I connect all these monitors down to the computer? In today's episode, I'm going to give you a tour of my relatively simple trading station that I have here today, but I'm also going to walk you through what I started with on day one when I first began trading and how I made the decision to upgrade to new computers, why I chose those computers, and why I've come to this number of monitors. Because while some of you may think this is a lot of monitors, others might think, well, geez, I could put monitors up here on the ceiling behind me. How many is too many? How many is just enough? Now, one of the things that I'll say at the very beginning of this episode is that I treat all of this as a business expense. If you watch my episode on how to start trading as a business, you'll know that I incorporated my trading into an actual company. So I filed it with the Secretary of State, I create a corporation, and then all of this is equipment. This is equipment that I bought that I can depreciate over its useful life, because ultimately this is all the equipment that I use as part of my business as a trader. But one of the things that I would also emphasize is that when you're starting a business, let's say you're starting, just for example, a coffee shop. You want to start with the level of equipment that matches the level of investment that you want to put into this as a startup. So what you'll often see is that a new business that's starting kind of in a bootstrap way without big investors dumping money in are going to use less expensive equipment, maybe even pre-owned equipment, just to get themselves started. And then once they start generating cash flow and they've got some profit, they'll reinvest that into upgrading the equipment. And I think that's a really great way to get started. So when I first began trading, I was using an old Apple laptop, and I actually had two of them. I had a silver one that was a MacBook Pro. It was probably like a 2008 or something like that. It was a very old computer, but it was a silver MacBook. And then I had a white one. So I had two of them and they were separate computers. And what I was running on those computers at that time was E-Trade. E-Trade was a platform that could run on both Mac and Windows. But one of the things that I learned very early on was that back in those days, E-Trade, Ameritrade, Fidelity, these brokers all charged $9.95 per commission. That is a crazy amount of money when you think about it now, because trading is, of course, commission free. And even just as a quick example, if we looked at my TraderView metrics from, we'll just look at like one day here. This is 68 trades. So 68 trades on this day, 33 trades on this day. You multiply that by 10, I mean, you're talking about a lot of commissions every single day, hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars in fees and commissions on a day where I took a lot of trades. So I realized pretty early on that it wasn't going to be a good idea for me to stick with E-Trade and Ameritrade, that I needed to use a discount broker. But the discount brokers were all using software that was Windows only. So that was my first upgrade, was to get a Windows computer. I had a friend who had an old Lenovo computer and he gave it to me basically as a trade. The value of the trade was around, I want to say it was around $80. I think it was like $35 in cash, plus he wanted something that I had. So it was like a trade. And I got this Lenovo computer. And that was the beginning of me using Lenovo computers for a decade. Now, one of the things that I sort of thought about Lenovo's was that these are computers that I keep seeing at doctor's offices. You know, you go to a doctor's office and they wheel in that cart that has a computer on it. And I kept noticing it's a Lenovo computer. So I had such a good experience with my first Lenovo computer that I decided eventually to get a new one. But my early trading station, it began with these two old computers. So I'll just draw a picture here what this looked like. So this was an old Apple right here, and then a second old Apple right here. And the way I had these set up was this one was E-Trade, and this one was TC2000, which is old charting software. I don't think too many people use it anymore, but this is the way I did it. So if I wanted to take a trade, I would type the stock in on one computer, then I would type it in on the other computer, and I was just kind of going back and forth. And these were both laptops, which, you know, is just the nature of what I had available to me at the time. And then what I did was I got one external monitor and I put it on a stack of books, kind of like this. And I had this one external monitor right here, but it was actually more of one of those old square ones. And this allowed me to expand out this computer just a little bit more. And I wanted to add another monitor, but this computer didn't have enough ports for me to add more than one monitor. I tried and it didn't work. So then I added one more monitor to this computer. So I had this kind of split setup where I had two computers, each with one external monitor, and these were these sort of cheap ones that I got used. So the total cost of this simple trading station for me, I mean, I guess it was more or less nothing, but this was a computer that I had. This was my girlfriend's computer at the time, and these monitors I think I both got for free. So this is a total setup of almost nothing. And you know how much money that setup made me? Nothing. But you know what? I don't think it's because of the quality of the equipment. I think it was because of the quality of my strategy at the time. As a beginner trader, I didn't know what I was doing. And this is kind of part of the thing with starting a business. I could have started with a $5,000 trading station right there on day one. And would that have made me more money? No, it wouldn't have, because the equipment was not the problem. It's the carpenter that blames the tools, but really it's not the tool's fault. It was me that was the problem. So I ended up spending my first 2 years going through a period of trial and error, making some money, losing some money, making some money, losing some money, and just sort of slowly piecemeal adding another monitor, another monitor, another monitor. Now, what I ultimately ended up doing was finding these 24-inch monitors, and they're the same style that I've been using now for more than a decade. These are 24-inch monitors that you see right here. I've got 6 of them now in this trading station, and these are made by Asus, and I got them on Amazon. I might have gotten my first one at Staples or something like that, but I want to say they're like $125 each. So they're not very expensive, and I got one, and then I added a second one of the same model, and then I added a third one and a fourth one. So it looks like, oh wow, you probably bought all of these at the same time. They all look the same, but that's not how I did it. I just started with one extra one, another extra one, and another extra one. And for me, I would say the minimal viable product, your MVP for day one of trading, I'll tell you right now that if you're someone who's trading on your phone, well, first of all, I don't think any of the members at Warrior Trading who have verified $1 million of profit, they're $1 million badge holders, or even 6-figure badge holders, 100K, 500K, I don't think any of them have done it trading just on their phone. If you want to make 6 figures as a trader, you want to make 7 figures, you've got to treat this like a business. You've got to take it seriously. And there's just not enough screen space on a phone to see all the things you need. I mean, think about this. If this was in phone space, you've got like 12 phones per monitor. I mean, you're getting so much more space, and of course, for a lot less money than trying to do it on a phone. Now, I understand that a lot of people like to trade on the go, and that's fine. But I also want to encourage you to try to allocate a small window of time, even if it's just an hour a day, where you could be sitting down at your computer, watching your charts, your level 2, watching your news feed, and actually trying to trade the way professional traders are doing this. Because, you know, I think that's just part of the process. So for me, what I ended up doing here was setting up this kind of what became my minimal viable product for a trading station. So although you can piecemeal it together, as I did right here, what I would do if I were starting over today and I had just a little bit of money, I would do it a little differently. I would start with one computer, and if it's a laptop, then that's fine. It's a laptop. If it's a desktop, that's fine. It's whatever you have. Hopefully, it's a Windows computer. And the only reason I still would emphasize Windows computers being better is because a lot of the discount software that a lot of brokers offer is only available on Windows. So if you're using an offshore broker dealer, they're almost definitely going to be Windows only. I think it's just the nature that software that a lot of those discount or cheaper brokers use, it's the same software, and it's just legacy software that's for Windows only. So I would start with your one computer, and then I would set up 2 monitors. So if you're using a laptop, then you've got your laptop screen. And if you're using a desktop, then I would set up, I would have 3 monitors in total. So 3 monitors, monitor 1, monitor 2, monitor 3. And this, to me, is a good minimal viable product. You can connect all of these monitors to a laptop, and the device that you can use to connect them, there's 2 options. So depending on the type of computer you have, if you have an HDMI port right on your computer, you can connect right into that. Some computers have a mini HDMI, there's a micro HDMI. So if you have something like that, you can connect directly to that. But a lot of laptops only have one HDMI port. So then the second monitor is connected with a USB to HDMI adapter. And the ones that I've been using for a long time are made by the company they're called Diamond. So Diamond USB HDMI adapters, and their actual size is about this big. They're kind of like a little rectangle. And the way it works is you've got your USB cable here that connects into the computer, and then this has an HDMI port here that connects to your monitor. Well, ultimately what you can do, and this is what I did on one of my early trading stations, is I had myself set up here with my laptop, and I actually wanted to connect 4 monitors to this laptop. And so what I did was I just got 4 of those Diamond USB to HDMI adapters, and I connected them, sorry, I spelled that wrong, and I connected them to a USB hub. So a USB hub with 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever ports connected to right here, and then tucked all of that behind my trading station. So I had 4 monitors all powered through this one USB hub and 4 USB to HDMI little adapters. Now, you may not need that if your computer already has the ports, but if it doesn't have the ports, then you can still do it without having to buy another computer. This is a lot cheaper than having to upgrade your whole computer station. So this is one of the things that I did to get started. I basically piecemealed it together with a laptop and 2 extra monitors, and then I started adding more monitors. So the way I would lay out your 3 monitors, if we look at my trading station right now, what you'll see is that I actually have 6 24-inch monitors. I have what looks like 3 laptops here, although that's a little deceiving because this computer here is actually a desktop computer with an external, this has an external keyboard and a really skinny travel monitor right here. This is a travel monitor, and I actually just have it leaned up on an old laptop because that balances the keyboard and the monitor. So I was joking when I first set this up that most people would probably think this is just a laptop, but anyways, it's a laptop imposter. It's actually a desktop computer that is posing as a laptop. So I've got the 6 24-inch monitors. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 smaller monitors right here. So this is a total right now of 10 monitors in this entire trading station. But I don't think that this is the minimal viable product. I have this set up this way because of the level that I'm at, both in my trading, but also a lot of this is for creating content for YouTube. So this whole side right here, 1, 2, 3, 4 monitors, that's all for YouTube. And so really my trading station, even now with more than a decade of experience, is 4 monitors right here and powered by 1 computer. And then this is an extra computer that I use for email and stuff like that. So this is my trading station. And I think the MVP for a beginner trader would be to start with about half of this, because I don't think you need all of it. Okay, so how did I come to the decision of encouraging you to have this basic setup of 3 monitors? This is the way I look at it. So for monitor number 1, the monitor that I have right in front of me has always been my laptop screen. And on my laptop screen, I have my actual trading platform. So that's where I'm actually executing the orders right here. What I like about having this right in front of me, as you can see, is I don't actually have charts here. All I have are level 2 windows. So this is the level 2 and an order entry window, level 2 order entry window, level 2 order entry window, level 2 order entry window. And this right here is the time and sales, which shows all the orders that go through for whatever stock is in focus. And then this is my order, this is my positions window. These are my active orders. These are my canceled orders. I separate these because I always want to be able to see if I currently have an active order that's live in, that's live in the market, but that hasn't executed. Because if I accidentally leave a buy order out, I want it very obvious that that order is there. Otherwise, I could accidentally buy shares. So I separate my active orders from my canceled and executed orders. And then this is a news window. That's a short request window. And then these are messages down there that come from the platform. So this is all for me on one screen. That's on my main laptop screen. And then on the side of that laptop screen, I have this one scanner, low float top gainer scan, and I have the small cap chat room right here, which is for Warrior members at Warrior Trading. So I'm monitoring the chat room here, and of course I can type in the chat room, and that's on my side. So this is what monitor one looks like for me. And I think this would be a fine layout for anyone else for monitor one. These are your 4 level 2 windows, your actual trading platform, and then you've got some scans and a chat room. Okay, so that's monitor one, and I just feel like this is the sort of perfect layout for monitor one. Now, something I've noticed some traders do is they'll put they'll move their level 2 window like this to sort of each monitor. So each monitor will have its own level 2 window. I don't like doing that. For me, it just doesn't work. A lot of times I'll be trading and watching a couple of stocks very closely, and I like to have all my level 2 windows clustered together. So I keep them all together down here in the corner on my monitor one. Now, what you're looking at right here is monitor 2. So, and it doesn't really matter, I suppose, if it's monitor 2 or 3, but this is one of my external monitors. And the way I actually have it positioned is it's, I guess I'll do a switch here. It's actually, this is number 2, and then the last one will be number 3. So I usually have this one almost directly above my laptop screen. So the way it looks right now is this is monitor 2, and then over here is monitor 3. And the reason I have it set up like this is so I can zoom my mouse directly up and directly down across those monitors to be able to adjust it. So when you first connect these external monitors, you can go into display settings. And when you go to display settings, you'll have the ability to rearrange these monitors. So this is monitor 1, which is my laptop screen. Then we've got 2, 3, 4, and 5 directly above. So I move my mouse straight up, and then I go over to access these monitors. So, you know, when you scroll from monitor to monitor, it knows which one you're going to. So you can rearrange these as you'd like, but this is how I like to have it set up. So on this monitor right here, this has the chart of the stock that I'm currently trading, and it has 4 time frames: the 10-second, the 1 minute, the 5 minute, and the daily. And for me, these are all must-haves. I don't feel like I can get rid of any of these. And I know they take up space, but I really just feel like I need all these time frames to be able to really get a good view of the stock. So the daily is smaller because once I check the daily, I don't need to keep looking at it. But the problem is when I'm quickly jumping from stock to stock, it's very easy to forget, wait, what was the daily on that stock? You know, AMBI, was that the one that had the good daily or the bad daily? So I just keep that small view of the daily down there in the corner. And then that way I can always sort of have that reference point. And then this is also important here because this gives me my news feed right here. And then these are my other scanners. So the running up scanner, the small cap scanner, the top gainer scanner. All of these scanners that I have access to are available for Warrior members at Warrior Trading or members who just subscribe to the Day Trade Dash software. So in the past, when I was piecemealing different platforms, the thing that would be tough is I would have one platform for news, and I was doing like a lot of tabbing. You know, I would tab here, and then I have to go check the news over here, and I'd have to enter the stock again and pull it up. Now, I do that with the filings, but that I don't mind. So if you're using a lot of different platforms, you may find yourself doing a lot of this tabbing, you know, in and out, which is not ideal. So it's nice when everything can be integrated into one platform, but it's just not always the case depending on what you're using. Okay, so this is monitor number 2. Now, monitor number 3 is right here. This is all that I have on monitor number 3. It's another pop out of my charting software, and this gives me a view of 2 more stocks. I've got one right here, and I've got the second one right here, and it's the same idea as the other monitor, which is I've got the 10-second, the 1 minute, the 5 minute, and the daily. So these are split side by side. Now, I've seen some people who want to kind of make it more visually obvious go into the settings, and then, you know, for these for this chart, they'll sort of change the colors around a little bit so you can more easily see you've got 2 different stocks you're looking at. But I think once you're used to it, it's not necessary. So the way I do it generally is this is over on my side chart. So whenever I say, oh yeah, I have that on a side chart, I literally mean it's over on the side on this monitor over here. And it's a stock that, maybe CREV. It gave us a move earlier. Maybe I'll keep it on watch. I'll keep it on watch. If it starts to pull away and move higher, okay, we've got something to work with, but if not, it's just on the side chart. So usually the way I create my watch list is I'm focusing on the number 1, number 2 leading gapper, and then gappers 3, 4, 5, etc. end up going on to the side charts on my other monitor. Now, the way I have my current station set up is I have my laptop screen and then monitor 1, 2, and then this is the next one. So it's a duplicate of the side charts. It's just another monitor of side charts. So usually I keep the S&P 500 on this in the top corner just to keep an eye on the overall market, and then another stock that I'm watching right here. So that basically gives me a layout where I can have a total of 4 stocks that I'm watching. So again, this right here is what I would say is the MVP. It's a total of 3 monitors powered by 1 computer. All right, so 3 screens powered by 1 computer, whatever you want to draw for a computer. And then if you want to step it up a little bit more to get to kind of where I'm at, that's where, all right, this is monitor 4 and this is monitor 5. So monitor 5 is another monitor of side charts. Again, connected to the computer in a similar way. You could do it through the hub. I am using a computer that has the ports. So I'll put the specs for my computer in the description of this video so you guys can check it out. But this is my computer right now. I used to use Lenovo's, and I think generally any computer that is a gaming computer will be sufficient. Because in this day and age, gaming computers generally have nice graphics cards, which means they're going to be very powerful computers, and they usually have ports for at least 2 external monitors. So pretty much any gaming computer is going to be sufficient for trading. I actually I went on a trip earlier this year, and I realized on my way to the airport that I left my charger for this laptop right here at home. And this is a custom laptop, and I was going to the Caribbean. So the island I was going to, I called all of the computer shops on the island to ask if they had this power charger. None of them had it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to buy a new I'll just buy a gaming computer. What's the nicest gaming computer you had? And I found one that was like $1,200. I bought it. And over the next 6 days of trading, I ended up making like $60,000 on this laptop that I paid $1,200 for. So I was like, that was absolutely 100% worth it. And it was fine. I had brought my USB monitors with me, my external monitors. Those are these kind of skinny ones right here. So I already had my 2 extra monitors. And that for me, by the way, my traveling trading station looks like this. This is the MVP. This is my traveling trading station, a laptop and 2 USB monitors. The USB monitors are made also by Asus, and they're a little more expensive, but I think they're great. So I spend as much as 20%, even some years more of the year on my traveling trading station. So I'm using just the MVP, the same as I would encourage you to use. So then back here, monitor number 5 is just a duplicate of monitor number 3, which allows me to watch. So I've got the main stock that I'm trading, and then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 side charts. So I've got a total of 5 stocks that I can watch with this layout. And for me, that really is plenty. It's would be very unusual if I was going to add more monitors. I would mostly just end up having charts there of stocks that maybe were in play a couple of weeks ago, but at this point, nobody's really watching. There's the off chance that the stock will have news, and maybe I would see that candle spiking up before it hit my scanners. But the whole idea of these scanners is that they're searching the market for me, so I don't have to watch 47 different stock charts to see what's moving. The scanners will tell me what's moving, and then I can just pull up the stock that's actually moving right now today. So I think that's the most efficient way to do it. Now, monitor number 4 right here above monitor 2, this is one that for me right now is a little bit of a underutilized monitor. I have my my metrics on that monitor. I usually keep a slide deck on that monitor when I'm working on classes. So it's not being fully utilized right now. I could pop out another instance of this layout here. It'd be easy to do it. It's no problem, but I just don't feel like I need the space for that. So it sometimes I'll have some news headlines or I'll have SEC filings up there just to do a little bit of additional research. Generally, I feel like it's better to have a little bit more space just to spread out and not be cluttered and overlapped and layered and tabbed. So I'm just sort of using it for that purpose right now. And that works well enough for me. But it would really not be a big deal if I got rid of that monitor entirely and just went back to having, if I got rid of that, I would just be the MVP +1. Now, there was a time where I had my trading station set up, so I actually had 6 monitors that were full of charts. And I started thinking like, I should just keep adding more monitors. And I learned that there's a diminishing return of adding more monitors to making more money. There's just a certain point where you cannot physically watch this many screens. And although I've seen people set up trading stations with like 30 monitors all against a wall, I think it's kind of silly. It's a fun display. It's cool to look at. It definitely makes it look like you know what you're doing. But realistically, it's not feasible to watch that many screens at the same time. What are you going to pace back and forth and, have like, it's silly. It's overkill. So we don't need to overcomplicate it. While you might argue that this is not a simple trading station, some of the ones that I've seen make this look very simple. I think for a beginner, the simple trading station is the MVP. It's one computer with 2 extra monitors, and that's great. And then look, when you're starting to produce a little bit of cash flow, that's when you think, okay, should I go ahead and add, a 4th monitor, a 5th monitor? And it's easy to do that. Now, I have a rack in the back where it's a 4-monitor rack, and this is going to be kind of like a little nuance, but something that I cannot stand. This drives me absolutely crazy. When I look at someone's trading station and it looks like this, it makes me think that they may be a serial killer. So if you have this much space between your monitors, there is something wrong. I want my monitors touching. I want them as close as possible, like this. This is the type of trading station that I want right here. So the problem is some monitor racks have a center pole here, and then they have basically an arm in the back like this, and you mount this here and you can tilt it, but you can't do anything like that. So make sure you get the monitor that doesn't have a single arm piece, but has individual piece here, and it has an elbow right there. So it actually is, each one's an individual piece on a center coupling here, and it's an elbow. The elbow is highly, people don't talk about this as much as they should, but this allows you to scrunch these in and have them nice and very tightly sort of aligned. In fact, I'm so particular about it that on this monitor here in the back, the way I set it up, I could only achieve the level of tightness by building my own little wooden lift to push it just a little bit higher. So this for me is really pretty important. It may not be important to all of you, but if you're going to spend the money on a monitor stand, get one that has the elbows. You will thank me later. It just gives you so much more ability to tighten it. And then one of the things that you also want to be aware of, when you set up these monitors like this, it can become top heavy. So what I did was I have this little clamp, and I just clamp the base to the back of my desk. Some monitor stands can be mounted where you actually would drill it through your desk if you want to. Some of them do come with a clamp, but others just have a little pedestal, but it's not enough. And I've had definitely times where the whole thing started to come down on me, and I was like, whoa, that was close. So just as sort of a word to the wise, I would definitely clamp that in the back. As far as, cable organization and things like that, you've got 4, maybe 6 monitors. I run all the cables together. I bring them down in the back. I plug everything in to an uninterrupted power supply. This is an important note, including all the way back down in the basement of my house, my internet router. So my router is plugged into an uninterrupted power supply. So if we lose power because the line snaps, then my fiber line is broken also and I'm offline. But if we lose power for, another reason, but the fiber is still going, which is usually the case, connecting the router to an uninterrupted power supply will keep my internet going. So then I have the router and my network switch panel connected to the UPS. And then the wire comes from there all the way over to here. I'm hardwired right here. And right underneath my desk, I have another uninterrupted power supply. And these monitors and the laptops are connected into it. How long it would run with zero power? Probably not much more than like 15 minutes. It's not going to run for a long time, but it would run long enough for me to either get out of my positions or for the generator that I have at the house to come back up. So I have a generator at my house, which is for backup power, but I live in a pretty remote place. So a lot of people here have generators because during the winter, when we have big snowstorms, we'll sometimes lose power for days or even a week. So a lot of people have generators here. And then I also have a backup internet supply, which is my Starlink, my Starlink. So Tesla Starlink, SpaceX Starlink, the SpaceX Starlink I have. So that is generally good. Depends on the weather because it's satellite. So it's generally good. I don't use it as my primary, but it's good enough to be a backup internet supply. Now, some of you may observe that in this trading station that I have right now, I don't have a mouse that I use, and that's correct. I use just the trackpad. I'm a big fan of using trackpads, and part of that is because that's just how I've been using computers basically for forever. That when I first started trading, I was using a laptop, so I was using the trackpad. I feel like it's important to have everything clustered in a very tight area here. So I could type in the stock symbol. I've got my trackpad right here. I can very quickly move over the level 2, click the ask price, click the bid. And I like it to be very, very tightly kind of all in one spot. Reaching over to a mouse doesn't work for me. If it works for you, then that's fine by all means. But for me, I keep this is sort of my working space. So even though this is actually powering a desktop computer, it's connected to a desktop, I wanted this because I didn't want to use an external mouse even on the desktop. So this is a little keyboard with a trackpad that I got for my actual desktop computer. Now, someone suggested, what about one of those, a mouse that has like 5 or 10 buttons on the side? Would that work? And I think that could work. And if it works for you, then by all means, you could use it. Some people use these Stream Decks. They have buttons. I use it for YouTube and videos and stuff like this, but I don't use it for trading. I don't like the sort of tactile feel of the button. It's not as much of a click. It's like a soft button. So I choose not to use it. But again, there are lots of little things that you can do to sort of make minor adjustments based on your workflow, what your preference is, and kind of what works for you in general. But again, when it comes down to sort of the basics of the setup, I think if you start with a gaming laptop or desktop, you'll be in a really good position. You can connect 2, even 3 or 4 external monitors to that one computer. It shouldn't have any problem running that software. A lot of the software now, it still is on Windows, but a lot of it is also web-based. So if you're using web-based software, then you'll have no issue with that, even if you're on a Mac, but you could do it on a PC as well. So I would say once you have that basic computer, you have a couple of monitors, and you've been able to get them connected, either using HDMI adapters or straight into the computer, that is going to be your kind of starting point. Get yourself set up with those 3 monitors, and I think that is plenty for day one of trading in a simulator. And as always, you want to practice in a simulator before you put real money on the line because you want to prove that you actually know what you're doing. So investing in this business in that bootstrap way, I think is a good idea to not put a ton of money into it until you've proven you actually know what you're doing. It's in sort of all the aspects. It's on the aspect of how much you invest in a trading station, because you could buy a $5,000 computer and really fancy monitors and, spend 10, 15 grand on a nice office, but you don't need to. You could just as easily start with used equipment that you could get for a couple $100 and it would be sufficient. And if I started over right now, I would use cheap equipment like that just to get me started. because I would rather have my money in my account. And I would remember that it's not the equipment that makes the trader, it's the strategy. Now, if you want to learn more about my strategy, I'll put a link down here in the description. It'll be a link to the top of the comments where you can download my small account worksheet and you can learn more about the strategy that I'm trading every single day. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode. If you enjoyed it, I hope you hit that thumbs up. I hope you're subscribed to the channel for more episodes on trading strategy just like this. And I will remind you, as always, that trading is risky. My results are not typical, so manage your risk, take it slow, and I'll see you back here for the next episode real soon.